Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to the Friday, December 20th, 2024 meeting of the BFRW Standing Committee. I guess I will start with asking any members of the public that would like to be recognized to go ahead.
Tim Atterbury, Associated General Contractors of Washington.
Thanks, Tim.
Corey,
Elizabeth?
Washington Aggregate and Concrete Association.
Thanks, Corey. Elizabeth?
Elizabeth Torsky, Cascade Natural Gas.
Okay. And any others? Okay. Dustin, if you could take attendance of the committee members.
Roger Haringa,
I am here.
Damon Doyle, Dan Young,
Here.
Todd Bayrether,
Here.
Angela Haupt,
Here.
Katie Sheehan,
Here.
and Craig Holt. So we do have a quorum.
Okay. Item 2 on the agenda is review and approve the agenda. So if I could have a motion.
I move to approve. I second.
Okay, I am going to start with some comments, and this is meant for both members of the committee, but also members of the public. There has been ongoing conversations around what is the path forward for these proposals after these go up to the State Building Code Council. I have been in discussions with a few members of the council, a few council members, including Chairman Doyle, and I will be proposing a path forward at the early January meeting, which is the next State Building Code Council meeting. Has not been scheduled yet, but I believe there will be a meeting in early January to consider the Group 1 code change proposals. At that meeting, my hope is to suggest, and I want to be clear, this is not a sure thing of how things will move forward, but this has gotten some approval from a few council members, and we will be presenting it to the full council. But at the January meeting, the council will approve the package of code change proposals and send them to staff for the preparation of the CR 102. To remind everybody of the timing, the CR 102, we will hopefully set a date at that meeting, but is most likely going to be actually published in June or July. And it takes the staff that long to take these proposals, put it into code language into the proper CR 102 format. The CR 102, once it's published, there is a 6-month period. So from June or July till the end of next year, we will be taking public comment and going through the normal CR 102 process. Dustin, do you want to interrupt me now, or should I finish?
I just wanted to also mention that one of the other reasons we're pushing out till that time is the CR 102 expires after 180 days.
Yes.
So that's another reason we're not planning on publishing.
Yes.
Right
So
away.
the overall is to have the CR 102 approved and go into CR 103 at the end of next year before the next legislative session. So again, a June or July CR 102 publication, public comment through the summer, fall, final approval in November-ish, and we will try to dial in these dates. So in the meantime, between now and June or July, my proposal to the council will be to have these approved code change proposals sent to the staff so that they can start preparing the CR 102 documents. A majority of them, there are no questions about. However, there are some of these code change proposals that need further correlation And in their September meeting, there was the formation of a correlation committee. So my hope is that at the January meeting, that correlation committee will be defined a little bit better and populated. And there are some code change proposals for which further economic impact and small business impact studies have to at least be considered. There is a work group on economic impact that is identified in our bylaws to do that work. And I know that there are some proposals that people want to continue to, I will say, improve the technical language, continue to look at it. The proposals that have been approved by the tags are deemed technically correct by the tags, and they have what legislative intent or a regulatory intent. However, there is some of them were worked on towards the end, and there was continued comments that people wanted to make. So any proposals that fit under those three scenarios will come back to this committee and the other standing committee, the MBPE, I believe it is. And this committee will manage sending those to the appropriate, either down to the correlation committee or to the work group on economic impact. And we will hold meetings to consider additional comments on proposals for which there's a desire to continue to discuss. So from the public, if you are here, there are two code change proposals that we have prepared to talk about today because they were very close at the end. We moved them along. However, they both had some minor editorial changes that we felt like we could handle at the meeting today. So those two are item number 6 and 7 on the agenda. The IBC package, I'm happy to entertain some comments on specific proposals, but the intent is that this committee today forwards this whole package on to the full council, with the understanding that there will be an opportunity this spring for those that are interested in providing additional input to do so. So that's my comment and my plan. Again, it's not set in stone. I've had some conversations with council members and they seem to be positive about that direction. So Dustin, any other comments?
When we did the revised agenda yesterday, I'm just noticing a mistake on that one. There's no public comment or committee action noted for item number 7. And that was not the intent. And so I want to make sure that we note that that's needs to be changed on what we have published here.
So Todd, I think you made the motion. Is that a friendly amendment?
Yes, I was actually just going to make the same suggestion.
Okay. And I think Dan was the second. Is that all right, Dan?
Yes.
Okay. Then I will ask for any other comments on the agenda. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Item number 3, review and approve the minutes from December 13th. If you can pull those up, Dustin, they were published beforehand. And I guess I would be looking for somebody to approve those minutes.
So moved, Angela.
Thanks, Angela. Second? Is there a second?
This is Dan. I'll second.
Thanks, Dan. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. So now public comment on items that are not on the agenda. I would open it up to the public if there are any other comments that folks would like to make. I'm paging through the attendees. I don't see any hands up. So hearing none, we will move on to agenda item number 5, the opinions. Both of these opinions were heard last week. And we tabled them until there was conversations at the IBC tag, which happened, I think it was Tuesday this week. So Dustin, I will let you pull those up. I am going to assume that we deal with one at a time. And I'll let you present it.
All right, so on November, the opinion draft number November 06, we're dealing with International Building Code section 429.2. We heard this one at our last BFRW committee meeting. We had some conversation at the IBC, or the combined IBC and IFC tag meeting this last Tuesday. And most of the motion or change that happened here was on question number 1, and clarifying the answer. And in the discussion that's taken place, it's pointed out that the language that's in our WAC versus the language that's in the RCW varies a little bit. And so instead of having just a straight answer yes to this one, I have drafted a new answer here, which is where I guess the question first is, if you have a building with multiple occupancies, are the EV parking requirements only to be applied to the number of parking spaces required by local ordinances? The answer is yes, and we're kind of qualifying that a little bit more. As a background to this one, the building code doesn't specify numbers of parking spaces as a direct requirement. So the WAC states that table 429.2 shall be applied to the number of spaces required for each occupancy. The spirit of that being that where local ordinance drives the number of spaces per occupancy, you apply the contents of that table. In the RCW 19.27.540, the phrase used is where parking is provided. And then the rest of that RCW outlines the requirements that are then reflected in table 429.2. And in both cases, the number of required parking spaces is driven by local ordinance. And I'll pause there for some comment if we want to work that answer a little bit more.
Open for questions.
I guess wouldn't mind seeing the RCW just for everyone's sake. Because I thought I didn't remember that the provided part meant that they're required by our local ordinance, but
well, it doesn't say per local ordinance, it just says where required. And so we have the conversation of the use of the word required, which is in our WAC versus what's in the RCW. So in here, this is 1927.540, section 2A, is where I'm pulling these answers from. So the rules adopted under this section must require electric vehicle charging capability at all new buildings that provide on-site parking. And where parking is provided, in the remainder of this section is where the requirements that are contained in table 429.2 are coming from. So I feel like if we viewed the table, it's a little bit more concise than reading the sentence and trying to keep everything exactly square there. And if it helps, I can bring up the RCW side by side with the WAC section as well. And Angela, I see you have your hand up.
So does anywhere in the RCW talk about what happens when it's a mixed use building? Because I think that's where the question comes up, is that this says, you know, where it's provided and blah, 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 and that's how we start, the WAC starts. That section talks about provided parking, but then when you get into this one piece that says where you have multiple occupancies in a building, it applies to the required parking spaces. So I mean, that's where the confusion is. So I'm curious. So nowhere in the RCW does it use the word required, where required.
No, ma'am. And it
Okay.
doesn't necessarily use the term mixed use buildings or anything that.
Multiple occupancies.
Yes, I mean, it does
Sorry.
talk for occupancies classified as different types, but it doesn't address when you might have multiple occupancies within one building.
Okay. So it is just the WAC kind of took it, and our amendment added that language. Okay. Okay.
So in our conversations last week, Tuesday and today, it continues to be pointed out that there is some inconsistencies between the RCW and the WAC. My understanding, and I would ask if this is a correct understanding, is that the RCW would take precedence over the WAC. I believe that is the case.
I would be in agreement with that statement, yes.
Okay, and I agree that the intent of the RCW is that for all spaces provided, you do these calculations. So that's something that I've kind of come to an understanding of, or formed an opinion about over the last 3 meetings. So does your answer match that, is what I'm still questioning.
As far as does it match that, I feel it does, yes.
Okay.
In drafting that answer there, trying to point out that we have the difference in what we have there. I guess I don't have in there the RCW rules over WAC language, but that could be added in here in maybe a more word crafted way today.
Angela, I'll get to you in a minute. I guess I would like to see that, Dustin, because I think this is a question that's been lingering. And we can offer an opinion and direct it. And I think that while there may be details in various other situations where the same question may come up, I think it's our duty to head the answer to these questions towards the RCW, because I believe that's what takes precedence. So, Angela, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say this answer doesn't actually align with the RCW, because it's backing up the fact that it only applies to the required parking, not the provided parking. I think when this amendment was written in the last, I think it was trying to basically say that the requirements of each of the occupancies in the table had to be addressed, like the parking had to be broken up. I'm not sure that it actually meant only the spaces required by ordinance. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, the rest of the section is for the provided parking. So it wouldn't make sense to all of the sudden, just because you have multiple occupancies, to now say, okay, any extra parking you provided doesn't count. So I mean, in my opinion, and I haven't gone back and looked at testimony or anything from the last code cycle, but I would imagine that that's what the intent probably was. And if we are going with the RCW, which we're saying applies to all the parking that's provided, then this answer would be no.
Yeah. I was kind of coming to the same thing. If it says no, and then we say RCW uses the phrase where parking provided, and then outlines the requirements. And then I think, and then the sentence of the WAC states that, I don't know if you shouldn't capitalize states there, but that table 4429.2 shall be applied to the number of spaces required for each occupancy.
I think it might want to say required by table 429.2. The required, the number of required of the number of parking spaces required by table 429.2 for each occupancy is, I think, kind of where it's supposed to go. That's not necessarily with the WAC, but that's where I think it, you know what
Well,
do you know what I'm saying?
I do, although I think, Angela, it is the number of parking spaces required by table 429.2 are required for all parking provided.
Right.
So then you go through and calculate the required for the different occupancies, and then you have a total parking. Then you apply the EV stalls. I think that is
right. I think the wording that is in the WAC, I think what it was supposed to say, instead of for required parking, it should have said parking spaces required by table 429 for each occupancy, versus leaving it just required, where it comes into, okay, you know, this question.
Okay.
But I think this is the answer if you're going with the RCW.
And I'm open for comments from anybody else about number one, is the RCW the right path, which I think that is, but if there's others with others' opinion, that's great. And then I would like to make sure I read through it one more time. Can you zoom? Yeah, there.
I don't think we should be referring to local ordinance anymore, though, if we're talking about all provided parking. Because the only reason we would be going to local ordinance is if we were talking about only the spaces that were actually required to be there by the local ordinance, which is what we're saying the RCW is not saying.
Yeah. Angela, would you be the last two sentences if we just replaced that with the requirements of table 429 are then applied to total parking provided?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Total parking provided for each occupancy or something, whatever.
No, I just like
just
provided, because you go through and you calculate it, and again, you need half a stall here and half a stall there, and
yeah.
So
yeah.
Todd?
Yeah, I think, you know, we've gone over this a few times, but the deeper I get into it, 429.2, the section says that where a building contains more than one occupancy, the electrical vehicle charging infrastructure percentages of table 429.2 shall be applied to the number of spaces required. So really it's a negotiation about what that ratio is. You still apply them to all that are provided, but the ratio is based off of what is required. Is that anybody else's interpretation?
Yeah.
You still have to apply them to all that are provided.
Right. It's just that the way it's worded, it could go either way. If somebody wanted to say, well, these are extras, they're not actually required parking spaces. But yes, the way that you were doing it is the way that I think it was intended.
I think it's a negotiation with your local jurisdiction. We're making a case for these are for this occupancy, these are for that occupancy. We agree on a 50-50 ratio or whatever it's going to be, right? Between the jurisdiction and the applicant. So I think we need to be clear in our answer that it's not the number required by local ordinance. But it's also maybe fuzzy.
I
how
like
you-
that. At the end, no, it's not the number required by local ordinance. RCW uses the phrase where parking is provided. Is that a suggestion, Todd? Clarified even further?
Yeah, because it's the question is, it seems to be asking to be applied to the number of parking spaces. It's not applied to the number of parking spaces, but no, the parking spaces determine the percentages that are then applied to the total provided.
Yeah, I think that is a proper statement. It's not driven by local ordinance. The requirements of 429.2. Or maybe all 429.2.
And I just go back to the Spokane
Mhm.
situation where there's technically no required now.
Right.
That's the extreme. So you really have a discussion about market driven number of stalls in your project.
I like the answer as it's written now, but open for other comments. And then I think as far as final voting on it, I think we should go through 2 and 3 and approve the whole package. So
So
Okay.
kind of happy with question 1 at the moment.
Happier.
Okay. So on to question number 2. If parking is provided for a building that contains multiple occupancies and the number of spaces exceeds the number required by local ordinance, does any part of 429.2 apply to those additional parking spaces? And I feel like we would like to clarify this answer to be more than just yes, and maybe throw this
I say
sentence.
yes, and just pick the last sentence. The
There you go.
requirements apply to all, the total of parking provided.
Probably should have been asked as question 1.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said question 2 should have been asked before question 1.
Okay, then there is question 3.
And if a building is primarily an R2 occupancy but has a smaller single tenant space available for, or has smaller single tenant spaces available for group A or group M usage, does this building contain more than one occupancy as indicated in 429.2 and therefore only need to meet the requirements in line with the answers to questions 1 and 2? And on that one, I have a straight yes there.
And I think because exception 1 limits if you have small group A or M occupancies, then it's not required. But if you have larger, it is. So I agree with that. And that's kind of, they're almost, that question number 3 almost applies directly to exception number 1. So I agree with that. Angela, go ahead.
It applies to exception 2, you mean? Exception 2 is except for group A, E, and M. So that's everything else, but group A, E, and M,
Oh,
the
I gotcha.
provisions are, then it's just employee parking
Yeah,
or the other. So yeah, I mean, the answer is still yes.
yeah. Okay. I'm gonna ask if there are any other comments, concerns, and if not, if I could have a motion to What do we do with the opinions? Approve the opinion that you, Dustin, that staff issues? Is that what the
Yeah,
right?
so if it gets approved here, the numbering of the opinion gets changed to a 24 dash whatever number opinion we're on.
Okay.
Or then it gets published on the SBCC website, and then the final draft is also delivered out to the folks asking the question.
Okay. So is there a motion?
Roger, I'll make a motion, but just
Yeah.
make sure everyone understands we can take action on this as a committee, or we could pass it up to the council to take action. But I think you're suggesting we're ready and you want to hear.
Well, I would, I kind of figured we would address that in the discussions about the motion. I also was kind of on the borderline. Is this something we should push up to the full council? And I'm not sure.
Okay, I mean, I'll stand my opinion. I think I'm ready. Does anyone have other concern? Otherwise, because I could be fine pushing the council too.
Todd, I would like, go ahead. Okay.
Sorry, I'm kind of in my car right now and trying to do, but it really doesn't seem like there's been much conflict over this one. And so it seems like pushing it to the council is not necessary, but I don't want to overstep either. So that was just my perception.
Okay, Angela, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we have a pretty good consensus among this group, and I think if we take it to the full council, we're just gonna go round and round on the same points again and re-explain it. And I don't have a problem with this being approved at this level.
It's kind of what I was leaning towards too. So Todd, your hand's up. Are you?
Yep, I agree. And just want to remind everyone, we did push it down to the tag and discussed it at the tag. So we really reviewed this in depth, I think. So I'll make a motion that the BFRW standing committee approves this as amended on the screen.
Do I have a second?
I have a second.
Thanks, Dan.
Mhm.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? All right, motion passes. So then there is another parking right from the city of Vancouver. I'm not mistaken.
Also on section 429 and is essentially asking the question if the requirements of this section apply to vehicle storage spaces or fleet vehicle spaces. And one of the comments that came out, and I don't have drafted in this published here, this is the same one that we had, was to include the most recent bill that introduces some definitions for EV requirements into legislation. The definitions don't actually appear in our RCW. They're located in a different RCW though. And so one of my desires here today was to get that bill drafted in here. Or, I guess in my draft answer for this one, I feel the history of the EV requirements in Washington, as kind of outlined by the bills adopted by the legislature, are relevant to the discussion and the overall goal. And I have it quoted here. And here, let me blow this up for folks because it's tiny on my screen. I can't imagine how it looks for you guys.
Thank you, Dustin. I was just going to request that.
But I have it quoted here. This was in one of these bills, And the quote, the widespread adoption of zero emission vehicles is essential to the achievement of the state emissions limits established in RCW 78.45.020, which by 2050 require a reduction of greenhouse gas emissions to 5 million metric tons and the achievement of net zero greenhouse gas emissions. I think that part of this conversation, or whether or not EV infrastructure is required to achieve this overall goal is part of the conversation, because EV vehicles are not the only technology that help us achieve that net zero greenhouse emissions. But with the answer I have drafted is that if the local official determines that a area designated as fleet vehicle area or vehicle storage area is on site and related to a building and an occupancy, that the provisions of section 429 do apply. And so I would like to open it up for some discussion, and I'm gonna also start pulling the bill language into the beginning paragraph here.
Yeah, so it was a 2021 bill, right? And I agree, if we're gonna put them, let's add that one to it. And then I also, Dustin, there was a attached letter description from the city of Vancouver that discussed some of the situations that they're being faced with. That was helpful for me, and I like your answer and really putting it on the local building official, and if it is a use, then it should apply. One of the things they had talked about was if it is a lot where you're unloading cars from a ship, parking cars and then distributing them, does that, and my gut feel would be no there, but I think leaving that up to the local building official as to whether that is a real use or not, I think is very appropriate. So with that, Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, I concur. I think this captures it, because the key point is actually in the end, the paragraph at the bottom there, that is it related to a building use and occupancy, right? Is that parking for that building? If not, it's not, the building code doesn't apply. It needs to be the local official's determination.
Should we work in on-site parking associated with a building and occupancy or something like that?
If needed, I mean, just
I-
remind them we're talking about the building code, right?
Yeah, I think clarifying it though, so if we come back 2 years from now and look at it, that might help us remember our reasoning.
Mr. Chair, would you like me to pull up that letter? I didn't post it for this one. It was posted at our last meetings, but I do have it available to share if you'd like.
I guess I don't need it. I would ask if anybody else wants to see it. No? Okay. Let's get the other RCW added and then.
Fat fingers here. I'll make sure what I'm looking for here is to add the definitions to the specific RCW. So section 2 adds definitions to RCW 47.01. And these definitions help kind of clarify some of the terms and where electric vehicle is. It still doesn't define a parking space or these areas we're considering here, but it helps color the conversation. That RCW quote. Correct, 27.01. So with those changes, we have the yes. So with those changes, I think we kind of covered the concerns that have been talked about at these several meetings we've had.
I agree. And if there are no more comments, I would ask for a motion.
I'll make it. I move that the BFRW committee approves this opinion as amended, shown on the screen.
Do I have a second?
Second, this is Katie.
Thanks, Katie. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. That resolves agenda item number 5. So now we move to agenda item number 6, which is IBC IFC petition 24-GP1-0071 revision correlation. For background, that those that were not attending all of our tag meetings, this one was discussed in depth at the IBC tag, maybe needed a little bit more input from the IFC tag. And the proponent had some modifications to address the concerns of the IFC tag. So I think I saw Ken's name on. Ken can do a much better job than me of describing where we're at and what we're doing, but we were hoping to modify this particular slightly modify this particular language before we forward it on to the full council.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'd like to maybe just characterize the movement of this proposal.
Sure.
The group. So this was heard both at an IFC tag and at the IBC tag. We did hold a correlation, not necessarily committee or tag meeting. We called for some volunteers from all the technical advisory groups that were in action at the time to correlate some proposals. But the short of it is that the IFC tag approved a revision number 2 of this particular petition. At a subsequent later meeting at IBC after the correlation group met, a third revision was created and approved by the IBC group. And since the package had already been recommended and moved at committee in the IFC, there was some discrepancy between the two proposals. The discrepancy was mainly editorial as far as revision 2 and revision 3, but at our last committee meeting, there was some discussion about the power sources for carbon monoxide detectors that are installed in existing buildings that are not replacement, that are new. And so it was characterized that the requirements as drafted would require new units in existing buildings to be hardwired and not allow battery backup units to be installed. And so after that discussion, Ken, who is the proponent of this petition, did some quick work and submitted a 4th revision, which he feels is making an attempt to address those concerns. And so I have all the revisions here we can open up, but would like to start with revision 4 and kind of open up the floor for Ken to characterize what the change has been to address that additional concern besides the editorial stuff between the revisions 2 and 3. And so what we have here is what's posted. I did also post for this meeting the other revisions out there on this one so they can be compared. And Ken, I'm pretty sure I saw you on. If you're here and unmuted, I will yield to you for the moment.
Ken, I see you talking, but I can't hear you.
Until he gets that kind of straightened out. In his conversation with me yesterday, he said he was gonna go back to section 11, which is where the power source concern was kind of stemming from.
How about now, Roger?
Got some stuff highlighted here for us to look at. Ken, are you working?
How about now?
Hear you.
Okay, we'll try a different camera. I'm sorry, I'm on a Teams call at the same time. Okay, so so where you're starting right there is in the fire code. So the highlighted section, what happened is this is a complete rewrite of the 2024 IFC and IBC section 915. And then when we got through it, like everybody was saying, Dustin said it very eloquently that basically both tags approved it, but then there were some revisions going back and forth. The biggest concern was, what do we do with new and existing buildings? So what's shown here is in yellow is taking the 2024 base code language and keeping it, not changing it with the exception to the reference to the now 915.2, because that's where the where required is as it was before the 24, it was 915.1.1. So that's the only change, is that section there with regards to the 2024 code. And then if you could scroll down to the other section in the fire code, the 1103.9 went back in and kept the base code language for the 2024. And again, just made it small clarifications. One, the pointer to the 915.2, which is the where required section. And then made the language consistent where it says carbon monoxide detection devices shall be installed in locations specified. And again, referencing the 915.3 section, and the installation shall be in accordance with section 915.4. Kept all of the exceptions in that were not in my original proposal, and that's what caused the confusion. And then in exception number 3, again, just a clarification for the pointer regarding carbon monoxide detection systems, and put it in the appropriate section. And if you scroll down then to the 915 section of the building code, where it will be highlighted in yellow, there you go. This is the building code equivalent of the change in the fire code. Does have the same 915.2 reference to the where required, but it does then say carbon monoxide detection shall be installed in existing buildings in accordance with chapter 11 of the International Fire Code, which is at 1103.9, which you just saw above. And so that, again, that's just model code language that's there, and just modifying the pointer to the where required section. So that was the cleanup that was requested. I did Micah Chappelle with SDCI, Seattle Department of Construction Inspections, said he'd work with me on this, and I did send this to him, and he says that it looks like I did capture everything. I don't think he's on the call right now, but I did get a message back from him that, yeah, it looks good. So it took into his concern with what are we doing with existing buildings, and by just using the base code language, I think we captured it all. And that's it.
And the building code doesn't have that section 11 in this proposal, so there's no, they're similar in both of these, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows there's not another section below here that's got modifications.
Correct. 1103.9 is only in the fire code. 11, it's a totally different chapter in the building code.
And Ken, I actually will say this was on our schedule to address today because we were close and it's just some final wrap up. I don't know if you were on at the beginning, but we are coming up with we are coming up with a plan for ongoing correlation for those code change proposals that require correlation. We are outlining a process for that we will hopefully approve in our first January meeting. So if Micah has other questions about this, we still have an opportunity to clean it up, but it sounds like we're there. So,
Thank you.
sorry, are there any questions or comments?
My desire is to try to include this in the package we're considering for agenda number 8 here. I do believe I have it drafted into the table as presented there. It isn't indicated as final movement on it. So that was my hope, is we could move this along with that package.
I believe that would be appropriate. Any public members that may disagree, there will be 2 weeks here, and it will be published prior to the whenever our early January meeting is to approve these. If there is a question or concern about it, we could do that, but I would agree, Dustin, let's include this in the whole package. That's agenda item 8. Ken, go ahead.
So with that, which I think is a great idea, and I think that's great, is there a way that you can make a motion to include this revision 4 and change the IFC package that already went through? So it's already correlated.
My answer to that is yes. The IFC and the IBC tag did work. There's been a lot of conversation about where the correlation occurs. And my proposal is for this committee to kind of manage that. And I think if that includes us with the proponent understanding all of the, where the correlation challenge came from, I think it's within our purview. Let's go ahead and approve this for both the IBC and the IFC. Todd?
I concur. I'd like to see the motion actually capture that, so we send the clear signal. That's the intent, and we document that. So if Ken, and maybe even Ken, could help craft that motion.
Oh, heck no, that's on you guys.
Todd, why don't
Roger, you're probably tracking this well enough to do that.
Todd, why don't you take a crack at it?
Boy, I stepped into that, didn't I? Okay, repeat one more time, Ken, or Dan, if you can help out too. I don't know what the motion would be, so
I think you stepped in it really good, Todd. So I'll help. How's that? But I'm trying to think how we would say that too.
Well, I think you just have to start with the building code 1 and then refer to this proposal number for the IFC, to include this proposal number to replace the one on the IFC. So just, that's how I would do it.
Here's what I think is, I think as a committee, we should first approve this number revision 4.
Okay.
Because it applies it is for both the IFC and the IBC. So let's approve this, and then let's do take a second action, which is to insert the revision 4 into the document that we're approving today, and to be inserted into the previously approved IFC code change proposals.
Okay, so let's start with that one. So I'll make the motion that the BFRW committee recommend for approval by the full council petition 071 revision 4 as amended and shown on the screen.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Angela. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that motion passes.
Okay,
So-
and then what's the, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was gonna ask what the fire petition is then that we replace.
It would be revision number 2, so it'd be petition number 24-GP1-071-R2 is the one that was approved within the fire code package.
They have
And
the same number?
well, no, so this is R4. So they have the same number as far as the core number, but the R numbers at the end are what is the moving naming convention there.
Oh, so really we're just taking this petition you're saying, and I'm tracking now, and putting it into the fire package, and they'll
Right.
come together.
Todd, if you go all the way up to item
Just-
4, it says that it is amending both the IFC and the IBC, this particular.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion is I move to take this petition 071 revision 4 as amended on the screen and substitute into the fire package already approved.
And the package.
And
the
then-
IBC package.
And then move the whole pack and move the whole package to the full council.
Okay, I second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, agenda item number 7, which is petition 24-GP1-094-R3. And I guess 2 things. Todd, I'm going to let you, Dustin should probably show it, but I'm going to let you run this.
Okay.
Just for clarity for everybody. We do still have a quorum without Todd, and I think Todd, any motions or changes, you're going to recuse yourself.
Yeah, so in the olden days, before COVID, we'd be physically sitting around a table and we would say we're stepping down as our position on the council, and we would walk around to the mic to testify. So that's what I'm virtually doing here as a proponent. So I am the proponent. It is, and it's because I'm in the mass timber industry. I work at a timber manufacturing, so it does affect, what we do daily. But really, this is a proposal. I'll just quickly introduce it. That represents well over 5 years of research and development by the states of Oregon and Washington. And I can say strongly that we have consensus through public-private coalitions and roundtables and the universities, Oregon State University, Washington State University, and UW to support this. We typically try not to overwrite a standard in the code, but the power to adopt, amend, and implement is with the state legislatures. So this is a Washington-specific interest and Oregon-specific because this allows more of our local species that we need to find markets and for forest thinnings and forest restoration, wildlife restorations, to capture species like ponderosa pine, western hemlock on the peninsula, lodgepole pine, grand fir. And so what this is doing is, long story short, we've had glulam for a long time. This is the CLT ANSI standard. Glulam is used laminating stock, which are flat boards that are laminated like this. When CLT came to North America in 2011, when the standard was developing, there was a heavy emphasis to create additional markets for lower grade lumber. So the word lumber comes into play a lot. Lumber is an edgewise section that is good for a joist or a stud or so forth. We can't change that right now, but what this is doing is saying the visual grade lumber should be certain grades, number 2 and number 3. And I'm just going to state this, even if this is kind of inside baseball, just so we have it on record. The flatwise lamb stock that's used in glulam typically isn't used in CLT, but it can be. And that pathway is often mechanical grading to get these lower underutilized species into that. So if you read this, the proposal that the reason this is coming to the standing committee, I just want to be very transparent. The tag, the IBC tag, recommended for approval, a previous version, and then after But one of the things we missed was to put a reference center. So that bottom section was requested by the tag to make sure we have the chapter 35 reference of that ANSI, the ASTM standard. So that's one part. The second part in blue is suggestions from 2 trade associations in the wood industry that came after that action was taken. I'll say it's not exactly the text and their intent. In general, they don't want to support this kind of action at the code level, but if doing so, here is better language that aligns more with where this is going. So what it's really saying is that, and I have a graphic if anyone wants to see it, because the allowable strength grades for visually grade is a certain level, the mechanical grade was set 3 times higher, and the tension values arbitrarily. And they say arbitrarily because really there is a reason, because that's one of the lower grades that's available on the market right now. It's really not contemplated when you're doing lumber to do a lower grade. So what this says in normal words is it allows a lower grade mechanically graded lumber or flatwise lamb stock, and you have to meet the equivalent strength grades of the visual grade already stated there. So happy to go deeper, obviously, if desired. Happy to stop there if that's enough.
Can I, and I think that I understood this when we passed it in the tag, but reading in the blue, so the first sentence, the minimum grade of lumber in the transverse layer shall be visually graded number 3.
And I just brought that up from down below. I just
right. I see that
better sentence structure to go. It's kind of staccato. Long
Okay,
direction, short
says,
direction.
Yeah. Then it says mechanical grades shall be permitted in accordance with ASTM D656-570, provided that the design strength values required for analysis in 7.2 meet or exceed those of the minimum visual grades. Okay. What is 7.2?
So 7.2 is the section in the ANSI standard that establishes the analytical models to say you put the values of the lamb stock in, and here's how you calculate the values in the composite material, in this case CLT. So it might be bending strength, so forth. And it says you can use a model. And so this is saying whether you're doing lumber or lamb stock, take the relevant values that are equivalent to what the visually graded ones published in the NDS are and use those.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, and what it is purely editorial, and I think that it still says exactly what it said before. Should it say for analysis in ANSI 7.2?
Well, it's because this is language from it is the language within the standard, even though we're repurposing. That's in my opinion the proper way to do it, right? You know you're in the standard already.
Okay, all right.
Unless there's a different, maybe unless there is a different way to do it when you copied in the code. I don't know.
I think there is an extra space in right where your mouse is with section.
Yeah.
I would consider that an editorial change. Taking space.
And just to be clear, the red is all the new stuff going into the and the blue is just there to make the distinction within the standard, the change. Yeah.
I will say, as a structural representative for the SBCC, this makes total sense to me. It doesn't change what we approved at the tag level. It really is editorial. So I support this. Any other questions? So I'm gonna ask for a motion. Todd is not participating, so it'll have to come from somebody else, and I'm chairman, so I can't really make it.
So we're just moving to approve this to move forward as written?
Yeah, it would be the same thing. Move to approve the modified 194-R3 and include that in the package. Include it as an update to the package that we will consider in agenda item 8.
So moved.
Thanks, Angela.
Seconded.
Thanks, Katie. Are there any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Dustin, because we are tight on the, are we okay? I'm fine as the chairman saying that that's motion passes. Should we do a voice, a vote?
Well, I mean, it was characterized that Todd was gonna recuse himself for the vote, so for the purpose of this one, the rest of the remaining members here voice voted and there's no opposition. I
Okay.
don't see a need to specifically do a roll call.
All right, I think the motion passes.
Okay, thank you all.
So Todd, you'll be joining us again now for.
I put my hat back on.
All right, that brings us to the 2024 IBC petitions package, agenda item number 8. And I guess I will reiterate, if there are people that were not here, we are sensitive as a council that we want to allow the public to continue to comment on this, on some of these proposals. And so we are hoping to formalize a process to have the standing committees take any of these that need further correlation, any of these that need additional work on work group for economic impact statements or small business impact statements, or those proposals where proponents and the public want to continue to make editorial improvements. There will be a process for us to do that. I'm going to call it in the spring, January till March or April timeframe. So with that, Dustin, I'm going to let you take the reins and
Gotcha.
lead us through.
So, if folks that were here for our IFC package review, this is put together very similarly. Down towards the bottom, there's some slight differences compared to the two packages as far as the way it's presented to everybody. It's not necessarily a difference in proposals or anything like that. So through the course of the tag work, the stuff that's brought up to the top of our spreadsheet here are the petitions that have been withdrawn. Down at the bottom, anything in red, we do have a couple that were denied by the IBC tag. And I'll get to those in course. I'm going to review these pretty quick and then we'll open it up for some comment. I know specifically on petition number 118, which is our embodied carbon petition, there's some folks here that would like to speak on that one. And I would just ask that we hold comment till the end of this overview of what we have presented here today and published online. So in the first couple of these ones at the top are withdrawn. And in the tag action column, we're trying to make clear what was done by the tag, if there's discussion at different meetings, and whether they're withdrawn, whether they're approved by the tag or not, and to characterize how those approvals were made. So as we get to line item for number 93, this one was revised by the staff to approve the formatting of the petition. Similar for number 132, at the meetings where these petitions were discussed, the content of them was unanimously agreed upon, and just recommended that the staff make those changes to be viewed here we also viewed them at the final IBC tag meeting where those revisions were published and made available. Just the notes remain there that there was a revision made after the final recommendation of those particular petitions. As we scroll down, there's a lot of green here where the petitions have been approved by the tags for recommendation for adoption. When we get to number 004, after this, at the October 31st meeting, the motion was to recommend for adoption with a request to the proponent to expand the reason statement for this petition. So we, in this revision 1, is the only thing changed in here is not technical code language. It's a statement in there for item number 5 on our proposal form. And then moving on down, we have a lot of recommended for adoption with unanimous votes within the tag. When we get to petition number 036, this is one for a proposed appendix for single exits. This particular work is requested by legislation, and the council was directed to compose an ad hoc tag for this work. This tag has been formed and is currently under recruitment for the seats. And so this is slated to occur alongside of the group 2 codes. And once that's done, this proposal will come back for final approval within the main body of the tags. On number 038, on revision 1, this one was recommended for adoption in case that the petition below it, number 114, did not move forward. It was felt that the core, the main need for the revision outlined in petition number 114 be carried forward, even if some of the extra stuff in 114 wasn't approved. So these ones are over the same section, but the 114 was approved, and we didn't ask the proponent on this one if they wanted to withdraw or the tag on that one. So we can consider that as a potential modification here at the committee level, whether or not we want to move both of these forward, but they essentially are the same petition minus a couple provisions in 038. Moving on down, we have a lot of recommendations. On this one, we discussed earlier, number 071. We have the additional revision linked out here to the side. If we approve this package here today, the change on this document will be to bring that revision down here in line and to update this square here, which will be update this square here, which will be the committee action approving revision number 4. Moving on down to 094, this is the one we just finished discussing. And so we have the revision number 3 in here. And so we will have committee action on that one to approve that one here in the square next to the tag action column. Moving forward. Then we get to the fixed guideway transit document. After this one was recommended for adoption at our meeting last Tuesday, there's some additional revisions that came in addressing additional work or additional needed work. And so I have a revision here that was not approved by the tags. And so this is where the additional work needed that Roger was mentioning that we kind of take outside of this package and keep them moving so that the work can happen, so that we get the best code language for our users and the end product. This is one that we should have noted for additional work. And moving on down, we get to our next one. This particular one, number 089, was discussed many different times. You'll see several different revisions here, and even at the last meeting, were some revisions made and shown on screen. So the last revision 5 was the final one on this one, and this one is recommended for denying. And so we're not considering this one for any movement today, just leaving it in here in the spreadsheet for characterization of how this one was handled. And all the revisions are there to see how it evolved over time. That concludes the IBC petitions, but the IEBC is also included in WAC 5150. And so we had these group of petitions as well included in this spreadsheet. Most of these were unanimously recommended for adoption, except for number 123. And that one was recommended for denial, and this one relates to EV charging infrastructure. And this one was denied as not necessarily being needed in the provisions for existing buildings there. And so that right there with some of the ones that we're gonna have some comment on with some more work being needed. The embodied carbon one, I believe people are looking at. The fixed guideway transit one is gonna be needing some additional work. And I'll open it up to public comment on this package here. And I believe Corey Shaw and Tim Atterbury, they let me know that they definitely wanted to speak at today's meeting for petition number 118, which is our embodied carbon petition. And then Chris has his hand up as well.
It's Chris Russell with Security Solutions Northwest. I'm just a little confused. Make this my
Chris,
first
you're a
time.
little, the volume's low on you, so I'm having a hard time hearing you over our audio.
Is that any better?
It's better, yes.
Okay. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's a petition that we have an issue with and want to comment on. It sounded like the CR 102 would be the public comment, and that would be happening sometime around June or July, but then there was mention of being able to comment on that prior to that time. How does that work?
So when we file CR 102, that opens a public comment period in accordance with the Administrative Procedures Act. But we are still entertaining a lot of public comment on all of the petitions. So if there's something that you would like to identify that needs more work as part of the work that's ongoing right now, we'd definitely like to hear about it. And we're still strategizing exactly how further work happens at this point. So being in the know of what the concerns are is going to help us identify our path forward.
Okay. Well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was, Chris, I'll get back to you. I'm just gonna try to restate the way I think of this is we're in open period now, so all comments are welcome. And so this is an opportunity to comment, and as it, presumably this whole package moves forward to the council, comments can be sent in tomorrow and so forth. So I think this is a good time to begin the process.
Okay, thank you.
And I can also add, Chris, what I'm anticipating is after our January SBCC meeting where we more clearly define the process over the next few months. This committee will schedule another meeting, and part of that meeting will be, we know that 118, there are people that want to speak about that. That'll be on the agenda. So we will set up special times for specific or agenda items for specific proposals that we know people want to comment on. So we're happy to hear comments today. I would, I just know that additional opportunities are going to come up over the next few months. So
well, I'd like to talk about 115 if that's all right, briefly now.
I am fine with that. I don't know, Corey, do we want to talk about 118 and then we will put 115 on the list? Because I think 118, there are a number of people and Dustin kind of got that started. So I'm going to suggest anybody that wants to talk about 118, which is the embodied carbon. Let's get through those, and then Chris, I'll come back and we'll hit 115 next. Okay. So Corey, I'm assuming you're a 118 person.
Yeah. Have I made myself known that well already? First, I want to thank you guys for, noting and verbalizing that there's probably still some work that needs to happen on this proposal. So I would like to see that be noted in the spreadsheet so that it's known to the public that there's going to be more comment and more work done on this proposal if possible, because you've basically said that today, that it needs work. And we did submit, because revision 4 didn't really go through a public process. It was edited from 3 to 4 during the tag meeting on the 5th, and then now it's attached to this package. We did provide comments which have been pulled up. There are we have some substantial comments between ourselves and our industry partners. So, if possible, I would like to be a part of the January meeting to be able to bring more information forward. There have been other, agencies and entities that have put forward ways to get to these codes and these languages that have just come out. And I think there's some valuable information that would help us get the actual data that we need to make this code work for industry. So knowing that that's out there and knowing that there's going to be a meeting in January, I think is helpful. But in the meantime, we've provided some substantial comment. We hope you guys review, and then I'd like to be able to have a more effective conversation with industry input in January.
So I will respond. Number one, Dustin, I would completely agree with Corey. We should flag 118 and any others today that we are aware of. And actually, for anybody in the public, what I think this group and the full council will be looking for is any proposals that we know people have comments, questions on, any proposals that people identify as, hey, this needs more correlation, which I know Micah has a list of those that we need to correlate some of the proposals, and also any proposals that do need additional economic impact work or small business impact work. So I think part of our job as a committee is to identify those and then offer the the opportunity for people to continue to provide input. So, Amy, I also am
Yes.
a year 118 person.
Hi, yeah, that's right. Thank you. And assuming that we will have an opportunity to engage more with the public and refine the proposal in the spring, I won't go into too much detail, but I should say I'm with NBI, Amy Lewis with NBI, the proponent of 118. And I wanted to say thank you, Corey, for your outreach to, open conversations, ask us questions that really will, or stand to improve the proposal, make it clear, make it feasible, make it implementable. So again, I think I'll hold like more detailed comments or responses for us to be able to have those conversations separately and in the spring. But we're really happy to work together on discussions around feasible regional limits, concerns about consistency, and working together on identifying the most appropriate numbers for like regionally in Washington state, as well as getting more clarity on some of your questions of how compliance works and what the proponents have in mind for that. So again, thank you for the opportunity to engage in conversation about it. And we look forward to that in the spring.
And Sophie, I will get to you next, but for both Corey and Amy, so just to be clear, there will be a meeting in early January of the council that has not been set yet. I believe that meeting will be basically to move the Group 1 code change proposals forward. There is a regular meeting in January, the 17th or the 20th or something like that. That is kind of our normal business. What I hope to get set up is a BFRW meeting sometime probably towards the end of January, where we start going through and really directing those proposals either to the work group on economic impact, the correlation committee, and start holding, providing specific time to, okay, let's all talk about 118 or 115. So that's my hope of how we, the schedule moving forward in January. So Sophie, go ahead.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Sophie Marine with the American Wood Council. Really appreciate that idea of process moving forward and having specific time set aside to dig into this. I know it's a big topic, super technical, super complex, especially with this landscape unembodied carbon constantly evolving. I'd like to echo some of the comments Corey had brought up about continue to have industry involved at the table, as well as how some of the language was added in quite quickly at the last tag meeting before this was approved, and just so recognition that some of the covered products and what's already in the table moving forward, how that is going to align, as I think the table still includes insulation, but it's not called out in the covered products. And then again, similarly thinking through those numbers, as Amy had said, with potential limits on GWP values and how regionality factors into all of it. So I won't take up too much of your time as well, but yes, looking forward to continuing these conversations and having some specific set aside time to do so. I think that'll be very helpful.
Okay, thank you, Sophie. Corey?
Yeah, I just had a quick question, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. What happens if, I mean, your January, you're saying you're gonna meet to move this part forward with the package. Is if there's an opportunity, or if it comes up in that January early meeting that this might not be ready to move with the package, what does that do? Or is this gonna keep moving? Is that the goal?
That's partly why, as I've continued to talk with various council members, we are trying to move it forward, create a process for continued work on various proposals, and fit within our requirements. So what the council will do in January is vote to move basically move these proposals to the staff so that they can create the CR 102 documents. CR 102 documents are different documents. There's a different format. Not all proposals have correct code language. Hopefully they do, but not all of them. And so the staff is going through and making sure that the CR 102 will include exact code language, backup information. Some of the proposals do need further economic impact calculations work done on them. So the process we're talking about doing is allowing that the first half of next year. So the staff or the council will be recommending all of these to go to the staff, with the caveat that the standing committees will manage the process for getting the work done on economic impact, getting the work done on correlation, and also allowing the staff, the public and other members, interested parties, to continue to work on proposals like 118. So that is the plan moving forward. And then I'm going to say June or July, and we will hopefully try to define the target for that. That's when the CR 102 finally actually gets published. Any changes that will occur through the correlation committee, through the work group on economic impact, or proposals that are changed, would go back to the council in one of our, call it March or April meetings, and say, okay, here's 5 proposals that have been updated. And the council then would move those on towards back to the staff to officially go through and create the CR 102 documents. That way the staff can get started on the CR 102 for the majority of the proposals for which don't fall into one of those three categories. They can get started getting their work done, shooting for that June meeting. And again, I say that this is my proposed process moving forward. I've gotten some positive feedback from some council members, but that will be approved or discussed. And our plan, hopefully going forward, will be approved at that next early January council meeting.
Okay, and then will that early January council meeting show up online? Will it be a public?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It will be a public meeting, and Dustin, I don't know what our schedule is. I mean, I know the fire code tag has been approved. We're hoping to get the building code packages approved today. What are the other ones in group one and where do they stand?
There's the International Mechanical Code / International Fuel Gas Code that'll also be brought forward at that council meeting. I'm targeting January 10th. That's the first full week in January on a Friday. And the hope is here after this meeting that we can get that agenda and stuff scheduled out here in the next week. I know that's the holiday week, so we're trying to get some of that stuff out so that people can review what we have for that council meeting with plenty of time to review it. And yeah, so we're targeting that first full week in January for that.
So yes, Corey, it will be a public meeting like every other SBCC meeting, and we are working to get that date identified.
Great. And then the spreadsheet will be updated to reflect that this one's gonna get some work done to it.
Yes, ma'am.
I would propose that we do that, and in fact, Justin, as we go through today, that's what I hope is if people have comments on something and we know that there needs to be continued work, let's flag it. And all that will mean is it will come back to this group at upcoming meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Dustin, are you in the spreadsheet and have that ability to do that, or is that just a PDF?
Right now, what I have on up for everybody is the PDF. I am opening up the stuff so that I can edit it right now. It's loading as we speak, and so if there's more talk that we'd like to, I've got 2 already notated in my notes for the minutes and stuff that will need more work. So I got 066 and number 118, and then it sounds like maybe 115 as well will also be.
So I'm gonna ask if there's any other comments on 118.
Yeah, this is Tim Atterbury with Associated General Contractors of Washington. I was in support of Corey's letter. She put a lot of time and effort into that 3-pager. Anytime you've in your life that you've written a 3-page letter, you want to make sure it's read. So I just want to go through the individual council members that are on the call today and just request that you read that 3-pager. Corey put a lot of time into it, and then send a quick note to Corey, letting her know that you did indeed read it and what your thoughts are on it. Just out of respect for her work on the topic, and then just letting her know and other stakeholders know that it wasn't just a ho-hum issue. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tim. Ken, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, but I didn't know you just were talking about 118. I'll wait till you're done.
Okay. So if we are done with 118, I do want to go back to 115, and my memory is not very good since I have a lot of gray hair. Who was it that brought up 115?
That was Chris Russell.
Chris, yes.
And Dustin, real quick, we're still looking at my comments on the screen. You haven't switched to the spreadsheet, just so you know.
I know.
Okay.
We're reading them, Corey. So 115. Chris, what comments did you have about 115?
So that was in regards to the static dampers, and when it came up in the IBC tag, I asked if an exemption for or an exception could be added for a water flow switch, because there is an exception number 4 that's allowing for heat detection. And I mean, personally, it's my feeling that this is unnecessary because this is addressed by the preceding sections for fire and smoke damper activation, and the static dampers just have to be shut down on alarm. But if it's going to be there, there should be an exception for the water flow switch, because it's going to add unnecessary smoke detection requirements or heat detection requirements. And I also think this should be reviewed by the fire tag, because it does affect fire alarm and integration with the fire alarm system.
Okay. Can I ask, Chris, was your first point, was that discussed at the TAG meeting?
It was, and someone suggested that it just be moved forward and then addressed at public comment.
Okay. So I am going to, I don't know, what I would suggest, Dustin, is on 115, we flag that for correlation, because I would agree we need to make sure there's correlation there, and you know, maybe you flag it correlation and I don't know, consideration of, and now I'm gonna lose it because whatever Chris said.
A consideration for an exception,
Yeah.
addressing water flow switches.
That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, for shutdown based on the water flow switch activation.
Okay. Are there other comments? I have a couple, but I will leave it open for other folks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Dustin, the 036, which is the single exit, I know you have that flagged in a different color. I just am thinking that when we do formal approval at the council, we should very clearly pull, that is also in the IFC, I know. You know, the formal motion, I think, should be, we should either have a note that clearly, you know, takes that code change proposal and sends it to the ad hoc tag. So that's a procedural one, but I'm wondering if we shouldn't just flag that in our in the notes that you're putting down today. Then I had a question on 038 as you were going through them.
Hey, Roger, I think Ken has his hand up too, if you're.
Oh, okay, I didn't see it. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, thank you. Can you scroll down to the International Existing Building Code? And I don't know if you already said anything about this one, but the 076, it mentions the revision 1, which was done at the hour 3-minute mark on the 12/5. That's not shown there. When if you click on the 076, the revision 1 isn't that, doesn't show that document. So I don't know, and I don't know if that's the same for the one above. It's just accidentally, and the revisions didn't get attached to the 3 above.
It's also entirely possible that it's a copy paste error. I want to make sure that we did adopt revision 1.
Oh, yeah, I know, but that we did, because I have it. I just watched it while you guys were just talking at the 1 hour and 3-minute mark at the 12/5 tag. It was motion second and everybody said aye.
Okay, I have that revision here. Just flag this for inclusion of the link.
Hey, I mean, if you guys want, I have the video locked and loaded if you want to watch it again.
Ken, can you repeat that? Are you saying there's a revision that just needs to be noted?
Yeah, there's exactly. Yeah, there's a revision 1 that says created a unanimous recommendation for adoption, which happened at the hour 3-minute mark at the 12/5 meeting. Unfortunately, it just looks like it just didn't get attached to this. And so I would hope that you guys could look at that now. And I know everybody wants to go home, but if we could look at it, if it's possible, and then you could include it into this document.
I'm fine. Dustin, what are, you know, I'm not able to track your.
And I'm only speaking on behalf of the upholstered furniture mattress 1076. The other 2, I'm just making assumptions on those. I don't know. I didn't watch those meetings again.
So all those they're just missing the link there, and that's a error on my part.
All right, thanks.
Ken, I would suggest if we're going to approve this package, those types of comments that you flagged, we would get the right link in. So the proper link to the proper approved version. Is that
No, that's fine. I just didn't know if you,
Okay.
if this committee wanted to see them or not, or if you're just okay with.
Does anybody, would anybody like to see that?
I don't need to see them as long as we've got these all noted to make sure.
Yeah.
That the record is correct, right? From. Sounds like that might just be a double check going like Ken just did, right?
Yes. And I would also suggest the path that we've described. If there are those types of things that come up, we can then deal with that at a future BFRW committee as well, meeting. Todd, did you have your hand went up?
I did, yeah. You want to go back to the single stair? Ken, is that okay? Is that satisfactory what's going on here?
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks.
Okay. So just the single stair. So we took action as a full council to obviously create the tag. What I don't remember and I want to talk about is the proposal that came in from WAPA is technically just when I say just, it is an external proposal by someone. Now it happens to be 95% of the people that are going to be important decision makers on that, inform that, process, right? But technically it's a proposal. Someone else could submit a different petition. And so, I think if I remember our rules correctly, even though on this first group, the council took action as a whole and moved the petitions down to the tag, I think technically it's supposed to be this body, or that's what our rules say. It's just that the council obviously has the authority to do that action too. I guess my point is that one petition now, does it have to be moved down? I'm sure they'll reintroduce it to the tag anyway, but is there could be other petitions that come in with amendments. Maybe they'll use that as the base and amend things and so forth, right? But we have to assume there's going to be more petitions to that tag, or to this group to push down to the tag.
I would, as the person appointed to chair that ad hoc tag, what I am attempting to do for the regular January meeting, and maybe the January 10th meeting, I am trying to get very clear exactly what the tag is asked to do. And it is based on RCWs. So my assumption, Todd, is this proposal is one of the things that tag will look at in order to develop the single exit and multifamily up to 6-story. So yes, it is a great starting point, and that may very well be, but it will be treated, it is one proposal that came in from a group. Other people can put in other proposals. I'm assuming we will look at other materials, like I know that type of the single exit has been done in Canada, and so I'm assuming that tag is going to look at all of those things, and our task is directed by the legislature. So the appendix Q that have been submitted for both the IFC and the IBC will be one of maybe many things that tag considers. That's my response, and again, my hope at the January meeting is that we get real clear direction from the council what that tag is supposed to do, because it's an ad hoc and the rules, and I didn't necessarily think that would require that it goes back to the IBC and the IFC tags, because we have subject matter experts from both building and fire on the ad hoc tag, but that can be discussed at the council meeting. I'm not sure. Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. I don't think the proposal was to go into the IFC also. I think it was only into the IBC for the appendix. So I don't think it was, okay, thanks.
So the reason that I had that one flagged on my list too, I thought it was in the IFC tag as well. And I didn't want us to do a different action, and it got approved. The IFC tag got approved with all, the full package. I didn't want us to do something different today with the IBC tag package. I want to address them once at the council level for both, so that we don't get just procedurally, we're following the same path in both packages. So I was wanting to maybe flag it as a note. Well, we already have. It's flagged as a different, different color, and it says it's got to go to the ad hoc tag. I think that what we've got here is okay, and then the council will clarify that as we go, define the ad hoc tag requirements. Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, just to carry this thought exercise out a little bit more, the reason I'm raising it is, and I'll cite it, IRCW 1927-033, that establishes our technical advisory groups. And the first line is, the State Building Code Council may appoint technical advisory groups to review petitions for statewide amendments. That's also the chapter that has the new requirement that a petition for an amendment referred to the tag must be approved by a majority of the tag for it to be considered by the full council. I just don't want to get us all wound up here in a way that somehow we're calling something a petition, but really it's mandated by the legislature, and we're required to review this either at the committee level and then engage the tags as subject matter experts, but just we need to be deliberate about what is getting referred to the tag. And in this case, are we really referring this petition, or are we just saying this will be input and it doesn't have to be referred? We're just going to start. So I don't know the answers. I think we need to think through this, because this is a new case with when we have a state mandated.
Go ahead, Patrick. I have a response, but go ahead.
My understanding was that the intent was to have the council re-refer that to the ad hoc tag. And
Yes.
the RCW is more talking about taking action to move forward a proposal further to the rulemaking process. So I think, this situation would apply like if they had accidentally referred an IFC proposal to the building tag, sending it back to the council to re-refer is not, I don't think is quite the same as that, what that RCW is referring to.
And I was going to say, and Todd, I have not studied the RCW for a while related to this, but I believe that when we have legislative direction, that kind of trumps a number of the rules. Now, I would have to dig in again. I haven't looked specifically, but when we're told by the legislature we need to do something, then I think we need to do it. And I think that would. So your scenario would be is the proposal goes to the ad hoc committee. The ad hoc committee denies that proposal, which they could do. Does that not allow us to go back up to the council? Theoretically, yes, but the ad hoc committee is required to send something to the council that creates the single exit. So it may not be that proposal, it may be something else.
Well, Roger, and maybe that's part of the question, and we don't have to settle it here. I just want to raise it so people can think about it and come prepared to talk about it in January. Say that's the scenario, that doesn't relieve us as the standing committee, or the council on executing on amending, providing a single stair, amendments in the code as mandated by the RCW.
And I'm not sure if the ad hoc committee work flows through the standing committees or goes directly to the council. I'm not sure.
Well, I think it should go through the standing committee, but just my opinion, because it's in the IBC. But anyway, just something to think about for everyone to weigh. I don't know that it requires a petition, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. Any other? You all see the fun that we have of trying to manage how to move these things forward. Angela, go ahead.
What's the single exit RCW?
Good test, Angela.
I'm just trying to not have to go find it myself.
It's at the bottom. Um,
Is it 800? I don't know. I won't guess. Yes, right there. Multiplex housing is one of them.
no, that's last year's bill.
RCW
That's part of it,
1927,
yes.
115.
115. Thanks, Patrick. I think that's
Okay.
No,
All right.
yes,
That's,
one.
you're right. Yeah.
oh, one. International.
And we'll have to deal with the RCW saying we're supposed to adopt it by July 1st, but the the rest of the codes we've moved to November. So anyway, a hurdle, small one.
I guess what I'm reading here is it just doesn't say we have to have the petition route. It says that group, that we have to form a technical advisory group and they're going to provide recommendations. So
Yeah.
they could
And
start with a blank sheet of
that's
paper.
why I think the technical advisory group could, in the end, officially deny that proposal. However, I'm thinking a whole lot of the work that they've done will go into the final product that technical advisory group will send back to the council. So, all right, I have one more, and I thought you were on there, and it is number 038. Sorry, it's the light one. I understand that because we passed 114 revision 3, that we could and perhaps should deny 038. Do you concur with that, Dustin?
I believe so, yes, and if it helps colorize it, I'd be happy to pull them both up here so we could see the content of those petitions.
I would like to do that because I think, I think part of our work is to kind of clean this up as much as we can today. I think that would clean it up, and I believe that is required, but I would want to make sure that everything in 038 is captured in 114.
Why that's scooting off to the side, I don't know.
114.
Right, it's 114 and has a little bit more content in there as compared to the 038.
So 038, we were just crossing out 2023 NEC and inserting NFPA 70. That is included in 114 along with other stuff.
Yes.
And 114 was approved. So I'm going to ask Dustin or Todd or somebody, should we have a special motion to deny 038 so that it doesn't move forward, or do we just do that as part of make that modification to the package and then move the whole package?
I think we could have a special motion to remove it from the package. As far as denying it, the motion made at the tag level was to recommend adoption of 038 in the instance that 114 was not. So I think the denial is not necessarily required here. I think we just have those two competing petitions, or not competing, but complementary petitions.
Ken, go ahead.
So this is probably what you brought up before. This is what your code correlation tag should be doing. Both proposals should get approved, move forward, but then that's what the correlation people do, is what was the intent was to approve both of them, and it was approved to correlate them. That's what you're supposed to be doing. I don't think you should overrule what the tag did. I just think this is part of the correlation.
All right, Angela.
So did the tag actually approve them both to be correlated? The note on the spreadsheet seemed to say that they approved the first one only if the second one didn't get approved. So was that really what happened, or was that just an interpretation on the spreadsheet?
That was very specifically stated in the motion where 038 was moved forward.
But it
So-
was recommended, I think.
Yes.
So if
There's
that
also
was part
discussion
of
prior to
the,
114.
yeah, so if that was part of the motion, then I would say in that case, because 114 was approved, then 038 was disapproved and doesn't move forward. There's no correlation between the two. The correlation would mean that you're combining the language and things like that, where that doesn't seem to be what was intended.
I agree with both Ken and Angela, so I'm not sure where. Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with both also, but I think Ken's approach, if we put it to the responsibility of the correlation committee, would be maybe my preference rather than us doing it and getting into
And
the weeds right here.
When Ken spoke, I said, let's put in the notes, correlate with on 038, correlate with 114. 114, say correlate with 038. We'll let that. My assumption is that the action at the correlation committee will be to deny or somehow get rid of 038. So
Combine the proposals.
combine their, they're combined. So Angela, go ahead.
Well, I guess my issue with that is that the motion for 038 was not to combine. It was, this is approved unless 114 is approved.
Yeah.
So I think that if you're combining them, then you're not staying with the intent. Do you see what I'm saying? It's kind of, it was an if-then
Yes.
situation that was part of the motion.
I remember when we did this, and I remember thinking the same thing as let's just deal with it at the tag, because we were dealing with them at a very similar time. But I know the tag did approve 038 with that caveat. So Ken, go ahead.
I totally agree with Angela, but my only question is, did it happen at the same meeting?
I know that we considered 114 at the same meeting. We may have waited for some other, see, there's some revisions. But the part about just including NFPA 70, the change that you see over on the left on the screen, that was, everybody was in agreement. Now we could go back to the recording, but there were conversations about other parts of 114. So it may not have been at the same meeting.
Because I just think that at the time that the first one on the left was approved, and then the assumption was going to be denied if 114 was approved, but it would be at that point in time how 114 was presented, and I don't know if there was any changes to 114 at the exact same time that the one on the left was.
Yeah,
was
and
approved. I don't know.
I am going to say my memory, which I'm a 63-year-old male, so my memory is that we looked at the one on the left, we looked at the one on the right, and we said, oh yeah, they're the same. The change in the one on the left is included in the one on the change right. And we really didn't make other modifications, so.
Then I would agree with Angela if it all happened and there wasn't any additional changes, then I agree with going ahead and getting rid of the one on the left and not moving that one forward, since all of the changes are incorporated in 114.
My suggestion is the council in the column, Dustin, if you can go back to the spreadsheet in the column under committee action, which is just to the right of the green. On 038, you say proposal was denied because 114 moved forward. So we take that action. 038 will no longer move forward. 114 will. So we're doing the correlation.
Right, and I'm sorry to jump in here, but unlike the tag, if we denied something, the council can still bring it back.
True.
If we made a mistake here.
True. All right. Are there any other comments on the IBC tag code change proposal spreadsheet. And I will remind everybody, if there are additional items that need more correlation, we can flag those. It does not have to be today. We're not saying none of the others can go through correlation. In fact, I believe that there may be some that need some additional work group on economic impact efforts. So Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted this to be recognized, the 066 revision 1. This one, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that it does say that it's recommended for adoption, but no additional work needed. That additional work needed is to actually go to the fire code tag with the entire proposal for that chapter. In the yellow to the right, I put together a document and got it to Dustin that identifies all of the fire code proposed changes and how our WAC needs to get updated to the current 2023 NFP 130 language. But in addition, that document, the 066 document, also needs to get updated to the 2023. So I just want to make sure that somehow gets push either well, it's not necessarily the proponent's requirement for the update, but I think it should have been the proponent to include the IFC chapter, since it's supposed to mirror in the IBC or be very close. So I just want to make sure that doesn't get missed, because that is a big body of work that needs to get done.
I agree, Ken, and what I would suggest to you is that is one proposal that we, as a standing committee, probably would send back to the IFC tag, and then maybe do correlation, or maybe both IFC and IBC. So, that one is one that I see us going back to the tags.
So what I would hope for is the document that I provided that's attached. It shows attached or not, but I thought it was attached. If that could actually could staff add it in to that original proposal to say, here's the IFC changes. I mean,
so we have it linked here. It's available for everybody. So if we want to bring it back to the IFC, we can. I've been going through while we've been discussing these last things, updating the committee action column to identify the ones that we've kind of flagged for additional work, or we haven't talked on the economic impact component of what we said we might discuss. And we've just been updating the notes there as we've been talking. So I've got it displayed, and we'll strategize when, where, how that happens.
Okay, thank you.
Todd, go ahead.
Hey, Dustin, and while we're doing this on line 50 right there, can we include a green box there in column M for the action we took today? That's now included. Revision 3 is included. Thank you.
And then 071 should be updated too, if we're going to update that before we, if Dustin's doing it on the fly, we should update that one too before we make a motion. As chair, I need to take a bio break relatively soon. I keep thinking we're almost done with this. And in fact, I need to leave at 3:45, but I'm curious if there are other items that people want to discuss. Karsten.
Hey, I just joined. I was just looking for an update on 119.
119 or 118?
119.
119's got to do with the international symbol for accessibility. No, not accessibility. The international pictogram. Sorry.
Yes,
For
yes,
exit
that
signs.
for exit signs.
And so Karsten, that one hasn't been discussed yet today. But we're getting close to moving the package towards the council, so no changes have been made to it. And outlook right now is that it'll still move forward as last presented.
Okay, will be discussed today or at a different day?
If you'd like to make comments on it today, you're more than welcome, but it hasn't been raised yet.
No, I don't need to make comments today.
Okay. I am going to suggest that we ask for a motion, and I want everybody to recognize Dustin will be filling in column M for all the other ones as we moved them forward after we make this motion, but I think that we are ready for a motion unless there are other comments.
Okay, well, I guess I'll take the honor of doing it as the IBC chair. So I move that the IBC petitions package as amended on the screen moves to the full council.
And may I ask if it's also the IEBC?
And the IEBC, thank you.
Second.
Thanks, Angela. Any other conversations, questions?
I'll just say thank you, everyone. This is over a year-long journey, so this is a big deal.
Yes.
And Todd, I'd like to also point out something that you've said that is, I think, relevant to the conversation, is that we didn't split the IBC into a group 1, group 2 component. And so a lot of that long work has happened in a shorter time period. And so I'd like to thank the folks who have participated on that front as well, just because it's been a lot.
Yeah. I was going to say thank you, but I first need to say all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes. So yes, thank you, everybody. And I know it's been we got a late start because of when the codes came out. And some of the things I've been talking about with Dustin is we got a late start, and then there was a change from Stoyan leaving and Dustin stepping in, and we have the new rules that we have to try to integrate as we're going through this process. So it has been a pretty big lift this year, and I want to make sure we recognize the staff who've done a great job, keeping a whole lot of balls in the air. So we will continue to work on these, and I hope everybody's got a happy holidays. And we'll see everybody in 2025. I believe that's the last item on our agenda, right? Other business. I will open it for other business. Is there any other business? I kind of thinking everybody thinks let's call it a day. So I'm going to go ahead and close the meeting down. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thanks.